Hi guys! I'm back with part 3, I think. Yeah, it's another day. I never came back after I had something to eat. But so it's the next week actually. But I did get those first 2 videos uploaded, which was a bit of an ordeal. So hopefully those should be up now and people can see them. This video is part 3, part 3 and part 4 of the spring 2019 Twigling Artifex Kindred update. So these girls are they're my 2 newest girls, and they are 2 girls that were ordered directly from Twigling, from the website twigling.com. I had somebody ask where these dolls were from, and the majority of mine are secondhand, but you can buy new ones. She is trying to work towards having dolls where you can order them year-round. And right now that seems to be going actually pretty good. The last few dolls that people have been getting, they've been getting them as soon as 3 months, which for a Twigling doll is miraculous. I did not get these girls in 3 months. I got these girls in 17 months. So they're not as long as it took me to get my Tan, Pieta, and Elbe. Those took 18 months. So we were almost there. I think maybe technically with the week delayed shipping stuck in LA, it probably was 18 months. But I ordered these girls the end of November 2017. And I'm going to try to briefly recount why they took so long. With my 2 girls that took 18 months, I went over that in those videos, explaining what happened with those. So this is a different situation. Ended up with a lot of the same result, but at this point in time, when I made this order, I had gotten those 2 girls, and they were in tan, translucent, beautiful resin with no seam lines, from Haru Casting. And I was head over heels ecstatic. I really wanted to order some more dolls that were going to be casted by Haru Casting. So I went ahead and went for what was called an Argyria Ingenue, and this was supposed to be a silver-ish reminiscent color. It was kind of ambiguous what the color was going to be. Hi guys. That was the wind. Okay, you all right? Dust you off. Oh my gosh. Okay. Uh-oh, here comes Toby. I fed them early to try to, so that they would leave me alone while I made this video. I might cut that part out. I've got the window open because this room, my dolly room, gets really, really stuffy. It's like probably the hottest room in the house. Okay, so where was I? So I ordered Argyria Ingenue. She's the last, she was a special edition, only available in this color, and was not going to, she's discontinued technically. And then this was another limited edition color. It was the raw umber, and you could order any of the sculpts besides Ingenue in this color. Neither one of these colors were the colors that were advertised, and we'll get there. We'll get there about why that is. But so what happened was that Haru Casting was having a lot of trouble casting the translucent sandable resin for Reese. I guess the way it was explained to me was that casting this resin is a lot more difficult. It's a lot more difficult to not have problems like bubbles, I guess. And it is also much harder on molds. So molds have to be replaced more often. So what was happening was that they were, for every finished doll that was good enough condition to be sold on to somebody, they were having 2 to 3 junk cast dolls for each good one. So that was a lot of waste, and with increased breakdown of the molds, the silicone molds that they used to pour the resin into, they were having to redo those. So Haru told Reese that he would not be he would not be casting any more dolls for her in the translucent resin. He would, however, do them instead in opaque resin. This was resin that if you sanded the seam lines, you would see it. He would do that though, but he was going to do that, but it was going to be a long time. It was going to be like February or March. I made my order last part of November, and this kind of had all been going on, and I think I might have known some of this before the order. I can't remember the particulars of it, but I do know that a lot of people made a lot of orders in that time, even that months before I made my order, and Haru Casting kind of was like, well, you know, people who were ordering in like June and July, and he was not going to start working on those orders until the following February or March. So that was happening. And I was kind of trying to decide whether I wanted to go with Haru Casting, which was a more sure thing, because here was the option that Reese offered us that had ordered dolls in that were supposed to be in the translucent resin. She offered us to either go with the opaque resin that Haru was going to be making, or we could go with New Foundry. This was her local source caster in Spain that she had started working with, and I think I ultimately decided to go ahead and wait for that. But that started taking too long. New Foundry was new, and they were not going to be on schedule, I guess. So I can't, and I'm trying to remember when the Russian caster came in, because there's a Russian caster, which a lot of times that's what we've called it, is the Russian caster, but they have a name. They are called Dolls Casting Service, and they are located in Russia. And they have a very good reputation. Their dolls are really beautiful. They cast for a lot of really well-known Russian artists. And Their resin colors, all of their, it's all translucent sandable resin, and all of the dolls are sanded by default. The only kind of caveat with this company was that they don't offer custom colors. They have a set palette of offered colors, and so what Reese told me was that I would have to choose the color from there. And I think for the Argyria Ingenue, if I'm saying that right, it means silver, that I could either get her in a dark gray resin, or I could get her in this beautiful like lilac lavender resin. Yeah, at that point I was pretty excited. I wasn't super happy, of course, about the wait, but I was going to hold out for it and get this resin versus getting an opaque gray resin that Haru casted. And those dolls, I guess those were called version 1 Argyria Ingenues. They are very dark gray, and they are really beautiful. If ever one came up on the secondhand market, I'd probably try to get it. But getting an ingenue in this lavender resin was very exciting to me. And then the raw umber was in their like a very, very dark chocolate brown color, and it wasn't, it's maybe not quite as dark as the color initially offered, but you can see that here. So that whole process there took 17 months, and I got these girls. I paid for the expensive EMS shipping, and they got stuck in LA for like a week, and I ended up calling them like, okay, where's my doll? And I don't know. I wonder if I hadn't called, if they would have sat there for who knows how long, because they were like, oh, somebody forgot to submit the paperwork. So after that, I had the doll within 24 hours. So that part, that shipping service is generally good. The other dolls that I had shipped to me through that shipping service, they got stuck in LA for 2 or 3 days that time. But otherwise, I think it would have been like 2 days. It's incredible. To get anything that quickly out of Spain is incredible. So I'm going to talk about each of these girls now. I'm going to put her down. I'll be right back, actually. Okay. That was too difficult holding them both. So we're going to start with this girl. She is the Argyria Silver Ingenue, and she is this lovely, lovely lilac lavender resin. And this color is pretty spectacular. These dolls are, they're perfect. These are beautiful dolls. I think they're just as good, if not better, than the dolls that I got from Haru Casting. I really do like that tan color, and if I had the opportunity to get that tan color that Haru casted, if I had an opportunity to get another doll in that, I have 3 dolls in that beautiful tan resin. But this is gorgeous, and I ordered both heads, so I don't think I can reach her. She's kind of over there. I'd have to crawl through some other things to get to her. So I have the open-eyed head and the closed-eyed head. And if I can swing it and it's still available, I probably will get another body because it's purple, you guys. It's a purple lavender ingenue. Like, ugh. And I got her. So this girl is, oh, that was one of the other delays, was that I changed my order. I had ordered her with, like, I think size C bust and long legs and short hip. In that time frame, I got my first Nikiru, who has the big bust, and I knew that I really wanted this girl to have the big bust. And I also switched her to the short hips and the short legs. And the reason that it was so important that I wanted her to be on this body configuration was that there's the possibility, and there still is the possibility, that this girl might become Hurla. So that was a long time ago, 17 months, where I had that idea that this doll might be Hurla because of the resin color, and the ideal body conformation for Hurla was to be shorter and to have big boobs. Her character is well endowed that way, and she's very petite. So that's why I wanted to switch to this body configuration. And that probably cost me 3 months delay because they casted her in the wrong resin or the wrong body configuration the first time. And I kind of wish I just would have bought that one too. now that I look back on it, because I could have used that one for the other head. But it's okay. And if I don't get another one, it's not the highest on my priority. I would like to get some other sculpts in some fantasy colors. But since getting in my fantasy resin, or getting my min ingenues in fantasy resins, and now that I have all of the sculpts, I'm going to be a lot more choosier. Any girls, any more Twigling dolls that I acquire will either be tan or fantasy colors. Those are kind of the rules I've set up for myself now at this point for this, for the future, for moving forward in the hobby. Yeah, this, in a lot of ways, like I say, I've been in the hobby since 2014. So I finally feel like, I don't know, this last few months or so, that the dolls that I always really, really wanted are finally here. The collection that I wanted, the dolls that I wanted. And I love all of my dolls. I don't have plans on selling any. They come in, they don't leave. Yeah, if it's going to expand, which it will, I definitely am going to be a lot choosier about making sure that that they're going to be all the more special, that they are fantasy resins or tan resins. So yeah, right now she's wearing, this was the corset that I had finished and made for my obsidian elf ingenue, and I don't know if you can see her back there. She's wearing that new one that I made. So this girl snagged this one, and I think it suits her very well. I really like how it turned out. And then she's wearing a pair of lace undies that I made her out of the stretchy lace. And she's wearing a pair of those rRabit velvet shoes, and that don't fit. They're the SD ones. They do not fit Twigling girls. Like, it took me 45 minutes of wrestling and getting in there carefully and stretching the leather or faux leather to try to get them on her feet. And these ones, they do they're almost all the way on. They're almost all the way on. And I managed not to destroy them or rip them in the process. But her wig, this one, I put this one on her a couple nights ago, and I really like it. It's like Tibetan lamb's wool or mohair or something. It's a natural fiber like that. But I think once I get a face up for her and stuff, that might, she's going to get a wig made for her, more than likely, at some point. But so whether or not she's going to become Hurla, that I don't know. We'll see how things go. I really like the ingenue sculpt that she's on now. Hurla was always meant to be in some sort of fantasy type color, though. She should have been. If I'd had my way from the very start, she would have been the elf ingenue, the obsidian elf ingenue. I don't think I'll be able to make her into Hurla. It just didn't feel right that she would be Hurla, because I haven't thought of her that way in a long time. But this might, especially with the bigger bust and the short legs. Yeah, the elf, the obsidian elf ingenue is 67 centimeters. She's the old original ingenue body and the Twigling ingenue body, and it's very long and graceful, and it's still, I think, the most beautiful of all of the body configurations, and she tweaks them every time they come back. She tweaks them a little bit before she sends them off for another casting. So those old dolls do have, when you put them side by side, you can start to see a lot of little differences. And I love those old bodies so much. But for Hurla, this short hips and short legs and the big bust is the way to go. It fits her character much more. So I sueded her. Let's see. You can see I used this teal suede that Created by Monsters. She sent me a big box of all of fabrics and scraps and just all kinds of awesome things that included some pieces of suede and leather. So this is a real suede, and it's this beautiful teal color. So she's solid as a rock. Like, here she is in heels, and so I sueded her pretty quickly. I guess you can't really see her after she came home because she was pretty terrible. She couldn't sit up. She definitely couldn't stand. And I wanted to be able to play with her. Yeah, did I do the? Yeah, I did do the. I used a little bit. I used a thinner suede in the elbows, or excuse me, the shoulders and the knees. I used a thinner. That's a faux suede. Faux suedes are much thinner, and for the MSD girls, and then for some of the places like the shoulders and the knees where everything needs to be a lot snugger, then that thinner stuff works better, in my opinion. What else was I going to... I don't think you can see it on her, and that was one of the things I meant... Can you see it? No, not really. And I covered up all of her joints already, so you can't see it. But if I remember, I will insert a picture here. I don't know when she sent off masters with the score marks, but The way if you have her swayed, your doll, then the way she does it is that she scores the joints. So she's in the joint here. There is a bunch of cross-hatched score marks into the resin, and then she applies she uses a faux suede and coats that and trims it around. Her method involves taking a knife very close to it. Like I don't know, like that I'm just not that cutting it right around the edges. She glues it in, and then when it dries, then goes and cuts off the excess. And the sueding, my 2 tan girls that I got from her in 2017, they had her her traditional full coverage sueding that she does, and I mean, it's just so well done. It's incredible. So by doing the score marking, it keeps that suede in there much better. So my gamming, which I showed in my last video, she was casted by Haru in September of 2018. And she had that too. She had all of the scoring in all of her joints, and that's the way she was cast. So at some point she had a doll that she had scored for preparation for sueding that she used for masters. So it's like I said, it had to have happened sometime in between when I got. I think that she did have to submit new masters to Haru. Well, she had to have, because well, I take that back, because I don't know, because those 2 girls that I got, those 2 tan girls, were sueded. So if they had been casted with the score marks in their joints, then I wouldn't have known it. I wouldn't have seen those. And the dolls that I had before that were from the long layaway, and they didn't have that. They didn't have the score marks. So yeah, I'm not sure when exactly that happened, when masters went to Haru and to the Russian caster with these score marks. But anyways, I did. That was another reason I wanted to get her sueded as soon as possible. I was kind of worried about those score marks kind of roughing up the joint a little bit. You could probably protect the joints with just some hot glue sueding too, if that's all you're trying to do. And hot glue sueding does help these dolls. It just doesn't last. Like, it helps them like for maybe a few weeks, maybe a few months, depending on what you're using. Versus the using real suede or faux suede, the full coverage, it just lasts a lot longer. So like I said, if I remember, I'll insert some pictures in here. And I keep meaning to ask her about that, like when she started doing that. But yep, I love this girl. She's amazing. And I can't wait to get her face up, but it's hard to let her go, because 17, pushing 18 months waiting for her, and yeah, that was pretty tough. It just makes it, once they get in, and it's hard for me to let them go. The waiting in a lot of ways is not that terrible for me, as far as like, it's not like I'm just in angst about it. I bought some other dolls, as you can see. So I'm very busy. I have other dolls I'm doing stuff with, so it's not like I'm sitting around for 17 months crying and having nothing to do, waiting for these dolls to come in. So, but if I can get these dolls in 3 or 4 months instead of 17, 18 months, I would be very happy. I would be very, very happy. And I will probably, if this current trend continues, I definitely will be ordering as many as I can. I have one on layaway right now, a secondhand girl on layaway, but as soon as I get her paid off, yeah, I will be doing more. I'm trying to be good and not doing more than 1 or 2 layaways at a time. Okay, I'm going to turn it off here and come back with part 4.